Hi, my name's Gary Hopper, and welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. My new temporary co-host is Steve Galt. He's related to John Galt. You know, John Galt, people don't know, is about the libertarians. Their Bible, so to speak, is a book written by Ayn Rand. Ayn Rand or Ian Rand? Called Atlas Shrugs, about there's a mythical guy, not mythical, but a guy who is all throughout the book trying to get all these capitalists together to start a new, less political world where politicians don't run it and only the industrialists and entrepreneurs run the entire world because they are somehow superior mentally, or not mentally, but ethically superior, and that's why the society would be beautiful.
Well, mentally superior, but
yeah. But anyway, that's where if you see somebody with a T-shirt that says "Where is John Galt?" it's a reference to the book Atlas Shrugs, and they are a libertarian, so you can throw tomatoes at them. Not that you want to. I'm not saying there's anything wrong, but anyway, my guest tonight, Steve, our guest tonight, is Carlos Gonzalez, who is a state rep from Manchester, who you ran for mayor quite a few years ago.
Yes.
Craig Benson supported you, but that was a good attempt. But you were a freshman. Weren't we freshman legislators in 2000? We got elected in 2000, right?
That's correct.
So that's when I first met Carlos. And I love him because he and I are on the same page as far as we're both Christians. And that's not a dominant quality up in this legislature. The most awesome thing I saw this guy do, and I thought it was beautiful. I don't know if you want me to say this, but I'll say it anyway because I'm a jerk. The most awesome thing I saw was the first term. It was Jeanne Shaheen was governor.
Yes.
And Jeanne Shaheen's henchmen had accused Carlos of being disrespectful because the governor comes into the House chambers once or twice a year, and everybody stands up and applauds, and it's a respectful thing. Even though I didn't have a lot of regard for the governor herself, I had regard for the office, and so you're still respectful whether you agree or disagree. And they accused you of, I forget what was it. Booing or something?
Booing the governor, yeah.
Okay, so, which didn't happen. No. So Carlos, in a following legislative session, asked for personal privilege to get up and correct the record.
Yes.
What, do you think they had a bullseye on you or something?
Oh, it was wicked bad.
Well, you know, the fact of the matter is that sometimes people feel intimidated by what is new. And being it that I was the very first Latino, Hispanic, whatever you want to call me.
Oh, you were the first?
Yeah, the first one.
I didn't know that.
In the history of New Hampshire. Elected. And I happened to be elected also in the Republican Party. Maybe it was intimidation. Maybe it was the surprise factor that there was somebody different right there. And I was right there in the middle on aisle 3, which is facing the podium, facing where the governor and the speakers normally are. And for whatever reason, I was accused of booing the governor, which is unlike my character. That's not me.
Do you think somebody was just testing you to see if you'd back down or see what you would do?
Well, that's a possibility. Now that you mentioned that, you know, testing is always there in politics.
Yeah, it is. It is always there, and especially like you said, well, you're the first Latino.
Yes.
I think somebody may have been trying to push your buttons to see how you would react.
Yes, and it was very uncomfortable because I don't think anyone, nobody, including you guys, I'm going to even take your side there, I don't think nobody likes to be accused of what you haven't done. And I felt completely disrespected. And I didn't want to really openly come and make a big mess on the media or whatsoever. You know, that's why I requested the privilege the week after, just to clarify that the person that this particular person wanted to portray about me, that wasn't me. and I would never do that to nobody, much more a governor. You know, that's an office that you have to respect, just like Gary Hopper mentioned before.
No, I agree, and I agree. Like what Gary said a minute ago. I mean, I may not be for our president. I may not be behind him 100% or anything like that. But at the end of the day, I still love my country.
Exactly.
And it's a respect thing.
Yeah.
I love my country. I'm second generation here.
Yes.
My grandparents came here legally, the whole 9 yards. I'm all for that. But it's, it's a respect thing.
Mm-hmm. But one of the coolest things. Well, first of all, I have to say that if you were a Democrat, Hispanic, and were accused of booing a Republican governor, and the governor's right-hand person came out and attacked you for it, they would have been labeled as racist. But for some reason, it was okay to attack you. But the reason I bring it up is the way you approached it. It was very, very cool, and the reaction was almost comical, because Carlos got up on the House floor and explained that he would never do that was disrespectful, and then he went on to open up his Bible and read from the passage that says that thou shalt not bear false witness. How it's a sin for the governor's right-hand person to accuse him of doing something without being sure that he had done it, as opposed to just accusing him.
Exactly.
As soon as he opened the Bible, 30% of the New Hampshire House got up and walked out of the room. And it was almost like the lights were turned on and the rats went for the door.
Yeah, and it's very unfortunate that politics is become what it has become, and that's why people don't take most politicians. Don't hold them at their highest point on respect, because we politicians have done a disservice to each other by treating each other the way that we treat each other. Very unfortunate, the warmongering, the name calling, and the accusations that don't fly, because sooner or not later, many of those accusations, and I'm not talking about my particular case that we're talking about, that when there is election time, there is all of these attacks on each other, and most of them is just prefabrications. And I have to openly say so without having to finger point one particular party. Most politicians do that. Most parties do that. And that's why people have lost the respect for the offices and for many of us, because we are not really respecting the offices that we are basically elected to service the people.
Oh yeah, I think the one of the problems is if you spent a dollar for a positive ad, it's
like $10 for a negative.
Yeah, well, the ratio, a dollar for a negative ad is worth 10 times as much as a dollar for. It just works better. But you're right. Over time, after we all attack each other over the few months before an election, by the time the election's at hand, people are just voting for the lesser of two evils. They don't even like anybody that's running.
Yes, yeah, and definitely, I have to say I wish, and it's my wish, that right now we're going to be facing the city of Manchester, the city elections. They are what they call non-partisan, but it's just non-partisan in names, because at the end, behind the doors, everybody knows that there are candidates that are pretty much registered Republicans, or there are candidates that are registered Democrats. And even though it's an election that's non-partisan, it's quite obvious what happens, that the non-partisan type of elections indeed are not non-partisan. If you want to call it what it is, partisan or no, at least call it what it is. The elections are partisan, whether or not we want to believe it.
Yes.
And just call it that way, and make sure that you hold accountable each one of the candidates, irrespective of who it is that they belong as a party.
Yeah,
whether it's a Democrat or whether it's a Republican. And no wonder people nowadays are more independent than Republicans or
I'm still
Democrats.
undecided.
There you go.
I mean, last year was last year was my first time voting. Not last year, just recently. I mean, the last election, the big one, and that was my first time. I never really got into it, and and you've seen me at John's place, so the more and more I listen to John, and then I have Gary coming in, and I hear and all this stuff, and then I get more curious, and I'm starting to look things up, and this and that, and I want to know more. I don't want to sit there and go into a polls and make an irrational decision. Am I voting for the right person or not? But that's a hard scenario to tell because, unfortunately, I want to say 75% of politicians will lie to you to just get elected.
Exactly.
And that's the sad part.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. No, it's true. I mean, you hear it all the time.
Yeah.
But I think to Carlos's point, most of the animosity created in the last few months of an election, most of it is BS.
Yeah.
It's just not really true. It's just something somebody like when they what did they do to basically somebody made an accusation that Romney killed somebody because he fired them or got rid of them and their insurance ran out, and it was just so much BS. I mean, people get fired all the time. It wasn't like Romney says, "Wow, I'm going to kill this guy," but they made it look like that, made him look like a rich, out of touch guy, which he very possibly is, but that didn't prove it.
Exactly. But that's the nature of how politics has become, and that's the nature of why people are so disillusioned, discouraged, or dislike politics as it is nowadays, and that goes for both parties.
Yeah.
The honest, good politicians are there. Yeah, they are good, honest, good politicians. But unfortunately, it's like they are behind the screens, that people can hardly find who they are. Because all the politicians that had the more money, unfortunately, I had to put it this way, the more money, the one that have more longevity and do have the know-how in how elections are put together. Those are the people that normally control the show every time there is a cycle of election.
Yeah.
So therefore, the good, honest politicians, whether they are newbies, basically newcomers, or, for example, some of the old enough politicians that are elected, but they don't make the mess and the negativity as some of those people already know how to put it together. They are the majority. They are the one that control the cycle of election. They are the one that have the money. They are the one that know how the machinery works.
Yeah, they know how to manipulate.
Exactly. And that's exactly what happened with both parties. And that's exactly what I call it, something that have done a disservice to us politicians.
Yeah, I mean, we have a lot. There's, like you say, there's a lot of really good, honest politicians. Like Kathy Souza's been on the show a bunch of times.
Souza, yeah.
This is your first time on. It's only because I just keep forgetting to invite you.
Yes. Yeah.
That's mighty nice of you.
No, I get
He doesn't like me. I'm just kidding. Yes,
my freshman year, there was a tag. I'm going to get his name, Sagi Tahir.
Sagi Tahir, yes. Yeah.
Guy was like as honest as the day is long.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of really good politicians, but they don't make the front page because they're not, they're doing it because they're doing it for the right reason as opposed to doing it to, get rich and famous,
And I had to point this, many of the good, honest politicians, they get discouraged.
Oh, yeah.
They get discouraged, and many of them, sooner if not later, stop participating and being politicians, because it is very hard to penetrate and climb up to the same level of those people that already control the show. And those people are the ones that I call the old-timers.
Mm-hmm.
What sometimes people call the old boys network. Those are the people that control the show in both parties.
Both parties in Washington and
in Washington
and New Hampshire,
you name it, and across the United States of
Somebody
America.
can only get knocked down for so many times before they get frustrated and fed up.
Oh yeah, they do.
You know.
Yes, yeah.
Because Sagi only ran 2 terms. I think.
2 terms, and he said, yeah. And you know what he told me?
No.
I need to come back to my family. I need to come back to recover my financial stability.
Yeah, because he lost a lot of money spending it up there.
Just because he wanted to participate. And unfortunately, he was sacrificing, like we all do, the family time. And he was sacrificing his business. He owned a business. And he, well, you know, young.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I would take care of his business while he's gone. And I mean, I didn't get paid extra for it, but I knew what he was doing.
Exactly.
You know?
Yeah. And that's the fact of the matter in New Hampshire. If you participate and you care to be a politician in New Hampshire, it's not for the money, you know, except for the higher office of congressman and senators,
governor
and governor.
Governor, executive council gets paid some, but not much.
Exactly. But in New Hampshire, it's pretty much a volunteer effort. And then once you are elected is when you encounter what I call it the circle of old-timers, the old boys network that you have to really know how to penetrate. You really, and I'm talking penetrate in a positive manner, how to integrate yourself with the system so that hopefully in time, because you cannot do that on the first term or in the second term, it takes longevity in the political system for anyone to make a mark.
Yeah, but but that's true. But also, what I have found, at least, you know, maybe I'm being maybe it's not true, but my experience is I started penetrating that in 2010, and then I wouldn't vote the way I was told once. I was, you know, chairman of Fish and Game. I did not, because I had already promised somebody from church that I was going to vote a certain way on a certain bill. I promised them, you know, and I don't go back on that.
Exactly.
And that wasn't what the speaker wants, so boom, I'm out.
Exactly.
Now, this term, I was third in line on the in the Judiciary Committee as far as seniority.
Yes.
So when the chairman and the vice chairman are gone, I'm supposed to sit as chairman to pick up the slack.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I did it once, and I was not. I'm not really a team player. I just said the way I said whatever was in my mind. Yes. And I was informed in no uncertain terms after that I was not going to happen again, because I'm not. I do what I think is right. Period. I don't care.
Well, you know, the unfortunate part is that the parties' clauses or you know strategies that they have on the game that they want to play makes a big difference on how each committee, like the one that you were, are going to influence the process.
Yes.
You know, and you know, if you have your own trend of thought, your ideas, they will counter exactly the system that is already in place, because the party is telling you, this is our agenda.
This is where we're headed.
And this is where we're heading. If you don't follow that agenda, immediately you are in trouble.
Right.
And unfortunately, that is not what people tell us to go and do there. Because once we are elected for all people, not for the party.
Right.
And that's the unfortunate part of politics at the local level, at the state level, and at the federal or state or country-wide level. Why? Because both politicians, Democrats or Republicans, tend to follow the party lines.
Yep.
And that alienates the independents, which are the majority of voters and people who participate election-wide, federally or country election or state election. And then it alienates all of those people. You know, it's okay. You can keep your bases. You can keep your bases happy, the Democrats or the Republicans. But then there is the independence people.
Right.
Those independent people, just like you know, that will analyze the issues. They will either vote for Carlos, the Republican, or for Gary, the Democrat, based on how they see our character and how they see that we are as politicians. Mm-hmm. But they don't want to become anymore neither Democrat or Republican. That's why they are staying independent nowadays, numerically more than putting together Democrats and Republicans. The independents are the ones that can place, make or break the who it is the presidential election or who it is the governor at the state levels.
Yep. Yeah, it is. It is. You're right. I mean, because you have the parties when you get up to even in Concord and I'm sure in D.C., if you don't toe the line, you're not going anywhere as far as in the party itself. As far we have a caller. Yeah.
Hello. Who's calling?
Glenn Willett.
Hey, how you doing?
I'm doing.
What's up?
I want to talk about the issue that you guys are talking about. You know, in Manchester, for example, there are some 14,000 Republicans and there are some 15,000 Democrats, while there are over 21,000 independents. And Carlos is correct. When people run for office and they're treated as second-class citizens, you wonder why they don't vote. In this city, we have, according to our charter, nonpartisan elections, yet the independent candidates are not recognized even by the press. That is a shame. And when you hear a Republican or a Democrat call you on my show and say you need to join a party if you want to be on the ballot or if you want to be on the debate team, that's wrong. We should not have to confirm to their laws that you confirm to the city charter. The city charter says it's nonpartisan, yet that should be accepted. And remember, there are over 21,000 registered voters, the majority of them that are independent. And I think that this year, enough of them have been angered that you will see a big change. Thank you for allowing me to express myself.
Thanks, Glenn, for the call. Yeah, I mean, we have, it's like, Carlos can attest to this, is we have a pretty sizable influx of libertarians in the, mostly in the Republican Party, but even in the Democrat Party.
Yes.
By virtue of the fact that they're libertarians, but they can't get elected. There's no place on the ballot for that. So they run. At least that's what their claim is. That's why they run for as Republicans and or Democrats, so that they can at least be in the running.
Yeah, and you know, I had to also thank you, Glenn, for participating and calling us. You know. And I'm just going to give you a little bit of push here. I know that you're going to be running for, or you are already running, likely for mayor of the city of Manchester. And I have to say congratulations to you for participating, for making a difference, for opening the eyes of the people in Manchester and also statewide, that yes, we all have the right to participate, irrespective of whether we are Democrats or whether we are Republican, you know. And the parties have once and for all finally get their act together and open up the doors to the people so that people can participate, whether they like it as libertarians or whether they like it as independents, because that is what democracy is about. And well, this incoming election is coming through, and I see already many primaries coming through, many people that want to participate in the city of Manchester.
Yeah. Now, are you running for any citywide office this term? Or this
I'm thinking about offices. I don't have one in particular, you know. Why is because I'm trying to weigh in which one of them I can really make more of a difference. Right. But I haven't decided.
You think?
Yeah, the filing period is still incoming. So I'm doing some of my consultations and talking to some of the people that is good to listen to before you decide to run for any particular office.
Because, yeah, we have Oh yeah, I want before we run out of time, I want to talk about this. I guess they had either the grand opening of this or something, but you showed up.
Yes, yeah.
Now I'm going to forget his. Pat Long went down. State Representative Pat Long. He's been on the show a couple times.
Yes, yeah.
He's a really nice guy.
Very nice guy. Yes.
And I want to make sure people understand they now have in Manchester. It's called the Manchester Recovery Community Center, and it's at 122 Market Street down near down off Canal. And I guess they're going to hold AA meetings there, NA meetings, Heroin Anonymous meetings, HA meetings, and stuff like that, and have counselors and everything else as it gets up and running.
Yes. Yeah.
Did you went down there? What did you see?
Okay. Well, this is the Hope for New Hampshire program, and it's pretty much about recovery. You know, it's pretty much about helping people and offering even ways in which they can not just be here. You know, they could also be led to go to other places besides this recovery center, and it's basically to help people in the community. I wish there were many more of these type of I'm gonna call them hope centers anyway, throughout New Hampshire. And the point is because the epidemic of drugs is so bad that the police officers sometimes don't know what to do. I mean, what's the point of putting somebody in jail when they are already more than wasted? They are more than gone. Most of these people do need a place where they can go and have recovery treatment so that they can go back and being better citizens or becoming the best citizen they can be instead of being put in jail. You know, unfortunately, many people say, and will have the stigmatization of saying, oh, well, he or she asked for it. The fact of the matter is, you do not know. We do not know why Mary or Joseph end up being a drug addict. And I know that we have a meeting for Hillsborough County in which we wanted to have a court.
Yeah, we'll talk about the court in a second.
Yes, yeah.
Go ahead.
You're on rock, paper, hand grenades. Who's calling?
Hello.
Hey, Gary, it's Ross Terrio. How's it going?
Ross! You old rattlesnake. What's up?
Hey, I called in to say hi to Carlos. Hi, Carlos Gonzalez.
Hi, how are you, Ross?
Very good, Carlos. Hey, Gary, I was curious. I know you had the operation on your eye a little while back. How's the eyesight?
Brighter, not better.
Really?
Yeah.
Now,
hey.
And then one other thing. I'm a little bit concerned. You've been in a few motorcycle accidents. What's going on?
Well, one of them I got rear-ended on Elm Street last year, and then 2 weeks ago...
Yeah, gay marriage is legal now. I understand that, but...
Right. No, not that. Hey, Ross, no, it wasn't like that. What a jerk. This is the reason we don't like you on this show, Ross. But anyway, no, the other one was just some guy on Valley Street. Somebody stopped short in front of me, and I must have turned the handlebars just a little bit when I laid on the brakes, and it flipped over. It flipped on me.
Okay. The state of New Hampshire has motorcycle safety driving classes. Have you considered enrolling?
I already went through one of those before I got my license, Ross.
Okay. How about another one?
Why?
Refresher course,
maybe? A refresher course?
I'm concerned about your safety.
I don't think you are.
I am.
Oh, really? Hey, so what? Hey, what are you gonna? Are you running for anything else this time around, or what?
School board.
Again?
Yeah.
Didn't you do enough damage already?
I'm doing a great job so far.
That's not what I heard.
And I wanted to give I heard that Glenn called in earlier. He's running for mayor, which is great.
Yes. Why don't you run for mayor so I can make sure people vote against you?
That's maybe someday in the future, not yet.
Okay, buddy.
But don't worry, if I run for mayor, I'll come on your show so that I automatically lose. Have a good night, Gary.
Take care, buddy.
Hey, thank you, Ross. Thank you for calling us.
Yeah, what a friend. So, anyway, yeah, you were talking about the drug courts because I wanted a chance to speak on that, and they for those of you who don't know, not this past Tuesday, but the Tuesday before, the Hillsborough County delegation got together to vote on the budget, and Pat Long had an amendment to fund the drug courts at the county level in Manchester, and it was $400 and something thousand, and we lost that. What, it was 43 to 39, right?
By four
four votes.
5 votes.
Yeah, and it was sad.
Well, it is a very sad situation to see it gone the other way around, because we pride ourselves of local control in New Hampshire. Yet, our delegation for Hillsborough County basically was telling Manchester and the local control, basically that's the way I draw the conclusion afterward, after the vote. No, it's got to go to Concord, to the State House, and to the House of Representatives, and then to the senators, and then go to the governor, and be an issue just at the state level.
That also,
it's very unfortunate that the local control was terribly damaged on this particular case for the Hillsborough County, because this drug court was to service all towns
that end up in Manchester.
And yeah, even though in Manchester, but to serve all the towns, you know. So there goes the issue of local control, whether down, you know, very unfortunate.
Well, it was also not, it was disingenuous.
Yes, yeah.
I'll tell you why. Because, yes, as people got up and said this should be done at the state level, and they did say that the state, at the state level in committee, in Judiciary Committee, that we had been talking about this. The fact of the matter is we have talked about drug courts for a while, but talk is cheap. It is. Drug courts actually have a much greater, are much more able to reduce recidivism rates for people who are caught with small quantities of drugs. So it's a great thing.
And just plain recidivism, so that people know what recidivism is.
Oh yeah, recidivism. In other words, the likelihood that somebody's going to get arrested for a gram of heroin and end up in jail. If they go to jail, the likelihood that they're going to get arrested or end up dead on the streets of Manchester is very, very good if they end up in Valley Street. If they go into drug courts, the rate that they redo the crime or recidivism is much lower, and there's much greater chance that that person will get help. Okay, so anyway, they said we had to go through the state. Well, the fact of the matter is, if we had voted, this is what I wanted to get up and say, but they shut off debate.
Exactly.
Is that if we do it on the local level, there is nothing curtailing the state from fine-tuning it later on. If we go through the state, it's going to take, it's been years since they've been talking about it.
Yes.
If we did it that way, then we already have it in place, and the state can come in and do whatever they want. But Carlos is right. Most of those Republicans that voted against having the drug courts are the same people who talk about local control.
Exactly.
And it is my belief that any government program should be done at the smallest political subdivision possible. Like, in other words, if your town can do a program, it should do it.
Exactly.
If your city could do a program, it should do it. Mm-hmm. If it's a little bit bigger than that and it's a county responsibility, it should do it. And in this case, the county can do it.
Exactly.
Okay? It shouldn't be bumped up to the state where you end up with all these people with their fingers in the pie, because that's what happens.
And it's not just that. It's that the bureaucracy level is amazing. I was talking about, with all due respect to the Old Boys Network, with all due respect to the party's affiliation, we are in this together. we are in this together to help the people that elected us, irrespective of whether Republicans or Democrats.
Correct.
And we are here to keep the pride of the local control that we sponsor so much in New Hampshire. And we did a very big disservice to local control by sending this under the excuse, defeating it under the excuse, there is a bill that is in consideration and it will be considered. And when we say that politically, we know that's going to take probably more than 1 year for this to become a reality. And then when it comes down to the towns again, it comes down a completely different program.
Yeah.
No, some people would say different monster, but I would say they send something back to the town that they don't know in Concord, because Concord doesn't know much more than Manchester and the Hillsborough County what we need here.
The other thing, too, is, as Carlos knows, because he and I have been up there enough years, when you get any speaker up and say, hey, we have a bill over here that's going to take care of this, that is just a red light should go off in your head that they're slinging bull.
Exactly.
Because they do that all the time, and it works on freshmen to get them to vote against something when, in fact, there's never any intention of actually doing anything. Exactly. I know Mike Harrington, I forget what bill it was. Mike Harrington was sitting next to me my freshman year, and leadership came over to him and says, hey, we really love I forget what the bill was. We really love your bill. It's a great idea, and we're going to attach your bill to a Senate bill if you'll just let it go, so we don't have to deal with it twice.
Exactly.
Well, to a freshman, that sounds logical.
Yeah, it's a win-win.
It's a win-win. You're going to attach it to something else. I don't have to follow through with this. I get less work to do, and you're going to take care of it for me? Sure, that's great.
Exactly.
But you don't know what they're attaching it to.
Well, no.
There's the catch-22.
That wasn't the catch. The catch was they never attached to anything, and it was a way of them killing his bill.
Oh, sort of like the governor tabling it.
Yes, yeah.
Little sneaky tricks.
Well, she can't actually. It's the legislature that table stuff. But, the governor just vetoes stuff.
Okay. But the fact that when you're saying that is, for example, when the drug court was defeated by 4 or 5 votes, which was a very big discouragement for me on my part, as a citizen, not even as a representative. I do have 3 children, which are, by the way, they are not anymore children because kids grow so big and so quick. I have boys already, and they I hope that they don't get in trouble. But it could be my home tomorrow.
Yeah,
it could be any one of our homes.
Okay. We gotta go ahead.
You're on rock, paper, hand grenades. Who's calling?
It's Bill Barry.
Who is it?
Bill Barry.
Hi, Bill. What's up?
How are you?
All right.
Good. Hey, I actually a comment, Carlos. Great show. I just turned it on, unfortunately, but I know you're talking about the drug court, and I'm certainly in favor of it. I've been in law enforcement over 30 years, and it's something that we need. I've lived in Manchester my whole life, and it's something we definitely need, and it's something that we should be doing on the county level. I can understand where some of the state legislators said that it's a state issue, that the state should be giving the money to the county courthouses. I don't agree with that. I think Hillsborough County, obviously, we're in the thick of things. Just by looking at what's happened in Manchester the last couple of weeks, 2 kilos of heroin found in one apartment.
Wow.
Exactly.
Tells you that there's a huge problem and we need to take care of it. And I agree with you guys. Once it gets up to Concord, we might as well just forget about it because we need to make this happen now, not 2 years down the road. This is a problem that's happening now.
Yeah, and Bill, don't go. Forgive me to interject. We wanted to do it because I was in favor of the drug court, and I'm still in favor of the drug court. The money was just for 1 year to get the program started, pretty much, so that it can get started, so that we don't have to be wasting all this time in bureaucracy in Concord for Concord to tell us what to do in the near future, because it's likely to take more than 1 year for the drug court to ever be considered in Concord.
Oh yeah, but I've been
You're
on.
right,
I've been on
You're
judiciary.
right, Carlos, and this is a problem that's happening now. We can't afford to wait. This has to be.
Exactly.
We need to get this started now. And unfortunately, for $450,000 to get this going, it would only be for the first year,
yes.
and then we would find proper funding after that. We'd have to deal with it. But we need to get this started. We can't keep pushing it off because we know the same state legislators that voted against it on the county level, they're not going to change their vote on the state level.
They are not.
No, you're correct. Mm-hmm. Yeah, see, to me, if somebody gets arrested with there's somebody who's an addict that gets arrested with a small quantity of drugs, should be sent to drug court and try to do whatever we can to get them off. Yeah. But the people that get caught with the kilos of heroin in their apartment should be taken out and back of the police station and shot.
Well,
is that legal?
They should be handled, and they should be spending a lot of time in jail. You're right. The other thing is, it's not. One thing that some of the state legislators and elected officials have to understand: it's not just the users that they're going to get caught in, with possession of heroin. It's what they're doing to get that heroin. It's the crimes that they're committing,
yep.
The burglaries, the thefts, the robberies, and so on and so forth that they're doing to get the heroin. We want that. We want to treat them. We want them to go through a drug court. We want them to get better so that they're not committing these crimes against the same taxpayers that we're defending.
Yep, I absolutely agree. I mean, it was the really bizarre thing is a friend of Carlos and I and many of the other legislators that were there voting was Speck Bauer from up near, I think, Sunapee.
Sunapee, yes.
He got clobbered in the head by somebody and $900 stolen from him like a week or so ago.
Yes, yeah.
And dollars to donuts, that was over drugs. There's no way the guy would pistol whip somebody for, to go down and get Twinkies.
Yeah. And you know what? And I know you guys are elected officials, and I really appreciate your support for it. Myself, as an elected official right here in Manchester, I took the initiative to go out with our police and fire, and even though I've been in law enforcement for a long time, I still took the time to go out with the police, go out on patrol with them, see what they're dealing on a daily basis. And I've also gone out with the fire department because I wanted to see firsthand the effects that it's having not only on the victims that they're treating, but the victims' families, the firefighters, the ambulance service. There's such a huge impact that people just don't realize it. And I would challenge all the state representatives that voted against this to take the time, go out with the fire departments, whether it be in Manchester or whether it be in their own towns. Go out with them and see firsthand what these people are dealing with. And it's sad when you one of them I dealt with was in Manchester was this couple, and their son is addicted to heroin, and she was devastated. She was crying. The husband was trying to console her and everything. And I took the time to talk to him and to try to get information and try to tell him it's not your fault, but it's such a huge impact that just people don't realize it.
No, the problem with opiate addiction is that once it gets a hold of you, it does not let go. It's like a ravenous dog that's trying to just kill you. That's all its intention is to kill you, and trying to break loose of that terror is not easy, and it can happen to anybody.
You're 100% right what you just said. It can happen to anyone, and I'll tell you what. Prime example was this 19-year-old girl that got killed on 101 in Candia, who was addicted to heroin, second in her class at her high school. She just graduated in 2014. She got addicted to heroin between her junior and senior year because she tried it once. I had a neighborhood watch meeting, and the people that were there, one of my close neighbors, said that he had heard that the only time you can say no to heroin is the first time, and he is so right.
Yeah, if you took, I use this analogy. If you took a room full of 20 or 30 people and had them opened up, had free. I was actually going to say this the other night at the Hillsborough meeting. Is if the sheriff had opened up a free open bar at the Hillsborough County delegation for a week, and everybody stayed drunk for a week, only a certain percentage of those people would that experience develop into alcoholism. most people would clear their head and say, wow, that was dumb.
Right.
Okay? You take that same room full of people and put them on heroin for a week, they are all addicted and jonesing for more. They are done. Yeah, I know, but I just to make the point, it's just it's not the same thing, and people and we're putting these kids on heroin all the time. They go in. I'd said on the show last week, I've been had cancer treatment last year, rotator cuff surgery, carotid artery. Every time I walked out of treatment for anything, I was being offered opiates. Now I'm luckily I'm aware of the situation enough where I ended up with not taking hardly any of it, but just enough to take the edge off. But most of these people a lot of these people that are getting addicted have no idea. The doctor gives them something and they say, "Oh, that's great."
Oh, okay, yeah. Here's a Tic Tac, yeah.
Here's a Tic Tac, yeah. I feel awesome. This is great. How can I get some more?
And Bill, I know that you are online anyway. So
you know what? Thank you guys. Keep up the big fight. I mean, we can get it done, but we all have to work together. Great show, and nice talking to you.
Yep, thank you very much. Thanks for the call.
Thank you. And, the fact of the matter is that, to wait for 1 year plus, and I'm saying 1 year plus because it could be more than even 2 years.
Oh, sure.
By the time this trickle down, $450 or so, which is minuscule. It's just like a little scratch, on the budget that the whole state of New Hampshire has and that we approve anyway. So something that all that the local Hillsborough County politician could have done in this last meeting was just basically get that amount of money as a grant just one time so that it can open up the doors for the drug court to be implemented and for it to then prove that it works and then continue to be funded by other sources, of which we are aware that we can in the near future get funding for the drug courts because they are successful in many states, including Massachusetts next door.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to get the wheels moving.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's all it was about.
And now, no 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
But I honestly think after these people do go through their treatment and they get their help, the biggest thing that they need help with is the aftermath. They need to learn how to change their style in their life because prior to that, all they knew is the people that they knew that they were using with. So if you don't eliminate that, that's all they know. They need to find new people to associate with because if they don't break that habit, they're never going to break the original habit.
No, that's absolutely true.
They need a support group, and they need a lot of what's called, I'm sorry, but like my mother called it, tough love.
Tough love.
I got a lot of that as a kid growing up.
That's actually what drug court is tough love.
Yeah. Yes, that's what
it is. Hey, you're doing good and stuff like that, and then somebody really screws up. This as well.
Yeah, well, when the drug court takes place, excuse me, please, it pretty much revolutionized the life of those people. And it brings all these families also together as support system for helping these people not to come back to the same cycle of friends, just like what you mentioned, and basically to open doors for them to have different outlets where they can recreate their new life. Because now that they are recreating their lives again. They are becoming a new person again.
Correct.
It's like an alcoholic. An alcoholic is not going to successfully stay away from a drink if he keeps hanging around the same bar he used to hang around in. He might last a week or so going in there and drinking iced teas, but after a while, that urge, something, a bad day, something says something, and that's all it takes is that first drink. And so you're right, Steve, is if somebody's a drug addict, if they keep hanging around with the same people that they did drugs with,
because they're not your friends.
No,
they are your enablers.
Yes, that's all they are.
They're like, oh, come on, man, you want it. All it takes is for somebody to, they're trying to get their life straight. They're going job hunting. They're doing this. They're getting discouraged. They're having a bad day, and then there it is. They're back in that same scenario. Come on, John, just have one.
Yeah, you've been doing good. It won't hurt you.
Yeah. Once, it's only today.
Only today.
But that's it. That's all it takes is today.
Yep, it does.
And then you're backed into the cycle again.
Absolutely.
You're having another bad day. Now you're jonesing, and then you're back in the cycle.
Yeah, and I'm glad that you're saying that because, I remember being bilingual myself, you know. I encourage anybody from any country, I don't care which country, I'm not going to even name nationalities because we have become so much into ethnicities and into races that we do a disservice to each other.
Yep.
But being that I am bilingual, I remember what some of my teachers, including my mother, told me. You need to associate with the people that will help you become better. People that will help you acquire what you want to acquire to become a better citizen. In that particular case, I remember, was when I was learning English. Basically, they were telling me, associate with the people that speak English and practice English and listen to English and read English and talk English. And that is what I'm talking to you today in English, because when you are in Rome, you behave like a Roman. And that's exactly what happened with the system of the drug court. It's a circle of support system that will enable these people to break that pattern of life that they acquire, which is a negative life.
Yep. Yeah, you're absolutely right. If you want to get better, you don't hang around with people that are still using.
No.
You can't.
You can't.
No.
You can't.
It's just suicide. Hey, we're about out of time, so I'm gonna repeat this because this kind of goes along.
You didn't inform him this is a hands-free show, did you?
Oh yeah.
He's been playing with that phone the whole time. This is a
this is
hands-free
July
show.
1st. This is I don't know if you can be on the air and text
still had
at
it in
the
your
same
hands, though.
time.
Hey, I had the earphone.
Oh, okay. Anyway, so if you're looking for help, at least one thing that went really well recently is Manchester has the Recovery Community Center down on 122 Market Street, down near, off Canal Street. The phone number is 603-935-7524. That's 935-7524. They're opened up. They're ready for business, and it's at hopefornhrecovery.org. If you want to go to their website, go down and visit. It's nice to see people are doing, even though it's discouraging over the vote we had a week or so ago, but there are good things happening, and if you're on drugs and stuff, dude, get help. Ask God to help you to stay away from it for a day. God will help you if you ask.
And if you know somebody that needs some help, just remember that whole tough love thing. You
Yeah.
can't enable them. You've got to give them that tough love and do what you got to do.
That's exactly right, Steve. Carlos, Steve, thanks for pitch hitting for Matt.
Oh, don't thank you yet. Wait until you get the bill.
Oh, okay. Carlos, you're awesome. Thank you very much for coming on, and we'll see you guys next week.
Thank you.